Okay, right now I'm going to show you how to set up the McKay Servoi with the assist control and or SIMV mode. Remember, SIMV is synchronized intermittent ventilation, and assist control is the assist control. It's a full control. The difference is SIMV in between the machine or the assisted breath. The patient determines their tidal volume. With volume control or assist control, the machine will give the exact preset tidal volume. Now what we're doing here is we're going to go into adult mode. Accept calculated compressible volume after patient category change. Yes. And we're going to be doing invasive. So ideally, for the sake with that right there, if you switch from NIV to adult, we tested this with an adult circuit. That is telling you that if you had a neonatal circuit and you had the compressibility on there, then you would want to redo the patient circuit test because you're switching from a neonate to an adult or from an adult to a neonate. That's just a safety measure. Since we did this with an adult circuit, I'm going to not redo that test. But realize that if you took off an adult circuit, put on the neonate, redo the patient circuit test. If you don't, you could possibly damage the patient's lungs. If you're going from a neonate to an adult and you do not redo the test, then you may hypoventilate your patient. So from here, we're an adult invasive. We're going to go to there. Click up in the corner, and then you have volume control. If you click on the actual mode, these are all the modes that are available on the Servoi. If you notice, the assist control mode is not there. So what McKay calls it is volume control, as we stated in class. Because of copyright infringement, they could not call it assist control. So they call it volume control. Anytime you see like volume control or pressure control, it is the assist control mode. This would be the assist control mode with volume, assist control mode, and pressure. Then you have the other modes, and over here you have SIMV pressure control, and down here SIMV volume control. So these are SIMV modes, synchronized intermittent mandatory ventilation, and you're ventilating with volume, and up here you're ventilating with pressure. Today we're sticking with the volume ventilation. So I'm going to choose my volume control. Boom. And then it comes up with your standard tidal volume, respiratory rate, PEEP, oxygen, TI, which is your inspiratory time. Over here you'll see your flow. So your flow is calculated for you. We do not set our flow, but flow and inspiratory time are directly associated. T pause, that is an inspiratory pause for every single breath. We're going to take that off. If you want a T pause on there, you have to get an order. That is how we taught our therapist. Mainly because you're alternating the way that they are actually breathing. So if you want that, you need to get an order. Inspiratory rise time, initially, I'm going to take that off. This is just like on the PB840 and also the rise time that is on the V60. It's how long does this get up to peak flow. Since we're not ventilating with pressure, the V60 was how long does it take to get up to maximum pressure. This is flow. How long does it take to get to maximal flow? Okay, and then we hit accept. But I'm not ventilating. How do I get it to ventilate? Right there. The problem is I do not have it hooked up to my test lung. It is now hooked up to my test lung. Alarm silence. This gives me 2 minutes of alarm silence right there. See, it's telling me that my exhaled minute volume, we have not gone over volumes yet or alarms. There we go, we're good now. Okay. Pressure, flow, volume. See, my flow gets back to 0, so I don't have air trapping. I've got a leak somewhere in the system. We've had it for a good while. My volume doesn't quite get back down to 0, but my pressure goes in and then it goes on up. That is volume control. Every single breath is exactly the same. The purple shows that there was patient effort. Okay, I'm going to decrease the rate on this so I have more time to play with mechanical breaths. So there's two ways of doing it. You can either click here, and right there I can hit, come over here to the knob, 10, and I can either tap this and then hit accept, or as I change it with the knob, I can press the knob. If you are touch challenged, you can dial it with this knob and you see the blue highlight, and it's a push knob. Okay, so I can come over here and change that one, change that one. Whoop, I'm going to take that back off and go over to my sensitivity. Right now I have a trigger flow of 5, so we can take this all the way high, or I can take to my pressure. See, trigger pressure. And as we have experimented, try it with both. Put it on -5 pressure and also 5 of flow. See which one's easier. I bet you're going to find that triggering the breath, but you have to do it easily. If you just manhandle and attack it, you're not going to see that big of a difference, but easily change it. So we accept. We now have a respiratory rate of 10. The other way I was going to show you is moving these down here. There's no accepting, you automatically do it. So I'm going to turn my oxygen down to 21%. There's my PEEP. Respiratory rate, tidal volume. So my rate's at 10, which means one breath every 6 seconds, roughly speaking. See, the T stands for trigger. It's purple, it's purple. That's showing that it's synchronizing with the patient's effort. Okay, now when I don't trigger, see how it waited almost a long time and it gave me as much time as possible? Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, look at that, right at 6 seconds. Okay, now, you see that little rabbit ear right there? That means my flow is going a little bit too fast in. Also, you want that with really good for pressure. I'm just going to drop that so it doesn't bother us. There. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add a little bit of T rise time. My rabbit ear is gone. So if you see that little rabbit ear on flow or on your pressure waveform and pressure control ventilation, you want to add a little bit of rise time. That means the flow is going in too fast, gives you a little rabbit ear. We don't want that. Okay, so that is assist control. So what I want to show you is over here, the respiratory rate is 10, 11, 'Not much difference, but yet we're breathing at 14. The rate's 10. We're now breathing at 1.5 times set, 16. The only thing you can see is the purple, and that's showing that it is a triggered breath, meaning the patient effort. And then when I don't trigger a breath and your patient's riding the vent, No purple. That's it. That is volume control. Every breath the patient gets, the breath looks exactly the same. Every breath, whether it's a triggered, assisted, or mechanical. Remember, like a mechanical breath is they are riding the vent. Assisted breath is by textbook technicality, it is a normal breath within the respiratory rate that the patient that is set on the ventilator, and the patient triggers and it synchronizes with the patient's effort. A spontaneously triggered breath by textbook is one that the patient's over breathing. The McKay just goes, hey, we either synchronized it or we didn't. That's all they say. So what we're going to do is come down here and go to SIMV volume control. Again, see my T rise, my inspiratory rise time, I time, rate, PEEP, FiO2, pressure support above PEEP. We're going to take that off for now. What the McKay does is it calculates the pressure support that due to the resistance of the circuit, resistance of the airway, the patient effort, it says you need this much pressure support to deliver the same tidal volume on volume control. So I'm going to hit accept. We're now breathing at 10 breaths per minute. And there's no pressure support, meaning there's no extra assistance for when the patient takes their own breath. There's a pressure support breath. That is an assisted pressure support. That is a synchronized. That's what I mean by assisted. Synchronized. Synchronized. Patient effort synchronized. Pressure support breath. Pressure support breath. Mechanical breath. Pressure support. Synchronized. Pressure support. Assisted. Or synchronized. And that's mechanical. Did not breathe. Your patient stopped breathing. So here are the numbers. Let's see what happens with a little bit of pressure support. You've already done this lab, but we can see how it does a little. See, pressure support above PEEP. This is PEEP compensated. So let's give it, as we said, as the machine said, 8 of PEEP, or pressure support. That one stacked breaths. I did not like that. There we go. We have a little bit of a long, see that's over almost 2 seconds inspiratory time. Okay, I want to turn this up to 45. And then I'll do a couple more breaths. Synchronized. That's a pressure support. There we go. You see the difference? And that is how you set up the McKay in the SIMV volume control with pressure support modality.